Go ahead.
That second chance right away. What does that say about him as a coach that he was able to bounce back?
Yeah, I'm just happy and thrilled for Frank and his family, and he means a lot to me. Obviously, helped me win a championship, in Philadelphia, and I knew it wouldn't be long. He's a great coach. He's a great mentor. He's a great teacher. He played this game for a long time, so just excited to get him out of our division and get him in Carolina. He played it. He understands the mentality. He understands the mindset of the quarterback, and sometimes that's what it takes. He played this game. He played it as a backup, just like I did for so many years, and I think there's a mentality there that you can really pass on to quarterbacks, and he's got a really good feel for that.
Your experience, can momentum carry from season to season, and what's maybe the challenge you guys have in building off of what you guys did last year and having it not be maybe a one-hit wonder?
Well, I think momentum can carry you, but every year is different. We're all 32 teams are starting over, and everybody's 0-0, and we're trying to build the best roster, just like the 31 other teams right now. But we can learn from what we did, especially the second half of our season. I feel like we got the right guys, the right makeup, the chemistry, the locker room is solid, and those are the things you build on. That's the momentum that you're talking about with those guys right there, and guys that have been in Jacksonville, and they've kind of gone through some tough times, and now this past year they got on the other side of that, and so that's the challenge now of keeping that rolling as we head into 23. Well, Chad was kind of a free agent, and I actually got a chance to coach him when I was an assistant coach in Philadelphia, and he's just he played the position. He knows it. He's got a great mindset. He's energetic. He's a great teacher, and so those are all kind of the traits that you look for in assistant coaches, and he was the top guy on my list.
Do you think the core of your team returning thinks of themselves as the team to beat in the AFC South, and do you want them to think that way?
You definitely want them to think that way. I want them to feel that kind of pressure, where you have to perform week in and week out. But in this past year, we were just, playing to win a game, and then ultimately we find ourselves winning more games at the end of the season, putting ourselves in a position to win the AFC South. But now those are the expectations that I, as the head coach, expect our football team to have. And that'll start, April 17th when we start our offseason program.
Coach, how does that change the offense? What does that bring to the offense?
I don't know. He hasn't been cleared yet. So I'm just waiting for that day, anticipating the day that he can. He's cleared by the NFL, and we're looking forward to that day. I can only go off what I've seen on film, and he's excitable. He's a top receiver in this league when he's on his game. I'm excited when that day comes that we can embrace him, onto our team, and he gives us just another weapon potentially for Trevor. We really don't. No, we really don't. It's in the league's hands, but we're just waiting for that day.
The Browns hired Jim Schwartz as their D coordinator, guy, obviously another guy you won a championship with. But what is it that made him so effective?
He's also been a head coach, in this league. He's been a coordinator for so many years, also in this league. He knows his players. He builds relationships with his players. He gets the most out of his players, and he's another one that's a really good teacher. He understands the game, and he's going to be a good fit there, with Coach Stefanski and everything they're doing in Cleveland.
Doug, what's the next step for Trevor? What's kind of your challenge for him?
I think the next step for Trevor is just another step in the leadership role, right? Last year was probably about learning a new offense, learning to play this game, learning a bunch of different aspects of playing quarterback in the National Football League. We just build on that. That's the next step. That's the challenge for him. again, to take as great as he was and as good as he was at the end of the year, he can be better, and that's the challenge that we'll have for him when he gets back in April, and I know that'll be the challenge that he'll put on himself to play and be a better version of himself moving forward.
Doug, when you're sitting at pick number 25, you're kind of playing the waiting game. What are some philosophies and traits that make you want to either move up in the draft or trade down in the draft?
I mean, listen, the draft is a funny thing, and we're fortunate to be down. I think we're at 24 this year, and you just play the waiting game. Obviously, if there's somebody, a player ahead of us that you may want to grab, you try to make a move to grab that player. But a lot of times when you're in the bottom third of the draft, you just wait and sit, and maybe there's teams that want to come up, and maybe you can gain more capital, right? Draft capital as you sit there at 24. So a lot of options there, and hopefully the player that we target is sitting at 24. We take him.
How different is this process for you guys now, having had the staff for a full year? Last year it was obviously like only 3 weeks that you guys have been together. How different is it now to have the full staff?
Well, it's great to have the full staff. It's great to have a full year under our belt. This offseason has been a lot different, been different for me from that standpoint. And now we can just kind of focus on the free agency that's coming up. We can focus on the draft coming up and spend our time going back and watching our season, our scheme eval, process and trying to make things better. And that's the fun part now about what we do, right? Is helping our team get better, for this year. You got to follow up?
How important is it to just maintain continuity with the team? Obviously, you have a bunch of free agents. How important is it to keep everybody together?
I think it's everything. You try to keep your core together. You try to sign as many of your free agent players as you can. This business, you're going to lose some. We know that. You try to sign them all if you can. And we've got some talented guys that we'd like to have back, but we'll wait and see how the process plays itself out. But I think the difference for us is these are really good players that we'd like to have back, and then you build through this process, right? You build through the draft and just add depth and talent that way.
From a scouting perspective, do you believe that multi-sport athletes end up making better football players overall?
Well, if you think I was a basketball and a baseball guy, so maybe, but I wasn't drafted. I think that playing multiple sports can help. You've got a background in different aspects, different sports, different teammates, different rules, all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, when they get here, they're football players, and we got to coach them as football players, and they got to be able to come in and help us win.
Balancing as a play caller and a coach, how difficult a challenge is that to kind of balance those two responsibilities?
Well, this time of year, you're not calling plays. You're helping build your roster, and you're helping Trent Baalke and his team to, better the roster. But as you get into the regular season, it's there's a balance. There's a fine line there. You got to make sure that you are studying and preparing yourself to call a game, and at the same time, you're also managing the roster and who's going to be up on Sunday, who's not, and things like that. But that's why you compartmentalize things a lot, and just having done it now for 6 years, I don't want to say it gets easier, but the whole process gets a little simpler for you.
An asset for you guys, quarterback sneaks. I'm wondering particularly how sneaks have evolved to tush push that part of the game. Do you think that should be viewed as part of the game? Should it not be, particularly with stacking guys behind it?
Well, I guess until they change the rule, it's going to be a part of our game. It'll be a topic at the league meetings, coming up at the end of March, and competition committee, I'm sure, is looking at a lot of data and different things right now. Trevor's length helps. You alluded to that earlier. He was able to dive over the pile for a couple of touchdowns this year for us, and also some valuable 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations. We have to get better as a football team. It's a valuable part of anybody's offense. You saw what Philly did and has done with their offensive line and Jalen Hurts, and that's a great example of using the tools and resources you have to execute that play.
What are the traits that you look for most in that veteran backup kind of mentor for young players?
Well, number one, they've got to be able to, it's an unselfish role. You got to take a back seat because normally it's hard for a quarterback, especially a backup quarterback, because you want to play, right? And I think about our guy, C.J. Beathard. I think about even Nick Foles and Philly and myself and, Frank Reich we talked about. But the thing is, you want them to push the starter, but don't threaten the starter. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we've got a really good – it was great to get C.J. signed for a couple of years, and he's the perfect guy for Trevor because he's a veteran guy. He's played. He's started games in this league. He knows our offense, and he can really be another set of eyes for Trevor. And that's what a backup does. And you push them from the standpoint of making Trevor better, but at the same time, you're never threatening that position, right? And CJ is the perfect. I know he wants to play, and he had an opportunity maybe last year, potentially, with Trevor's injury and all of that. But to me, that's what makes a solid backup.
What stands out to you about this year's draft class? Are there particular positions you see as having maybe more depth than others?
Yeah, every draft class every year is different, and for us as coaches, this is the first time too, that we get the chance to see these guys, because we just finished our season about a month ago, and so we're getting our first look at a lot of these guys, and there's some talent in this year's class, and that's the whole process. It's coaching and scouting coming together, and really having some great conversation, dialogue. You got to watch the film, you got to watch the tape, and make great evaluations, and prepare yourself for the upcoming draft.
Travis Etienne had his first real experience under his belt after this season. What did you like from him after that first year, and what are some things you're looking for him for next year?
I think the biggest thing for me was I loved his toughness, his physicality. I mean, he's not a big guy, but he's very physical when he runs, and can be elusive, got good speed, and he's just going to get better as a runner. When he gets a chance to go back and watch what he did last year in our system, there's going to be times where, he's going to go, I should have hit it here. I should, that's the growth mentality that he'll have, and just excited for him, get him back in our system again, second year, to watch the growth in him, and really how he bounced back from that injury year one in the foot to really be a really good impact player for us on offense.
Hey, Doug, Jacksonville Pederson getting a chance to be an offensive coordinator again. So just curious what your impressions were working with him, and what is he able to bring to the quarterback position, especially with a young quarterback?
Jim Bob was a great asset for myself, for Press Taylor, my offensive coordinator. A lot of wisdom and insight to the game. He studies the game, very diligent, and he's obviously been a coordinator before where he's called plays. So I just didn't want him to go into the division. But I'm happy for him. Great opportunity to be a coordinator again. And he'll have, obviously success, except twice a year. And really the way he's, when he was in Detroit, with Matthew Stafford, right? And then places he's been. He was a year in Philly, and he saw Jalen Hurts in that there. And, of course, with Trevor here. So he understands that position. And he'll be a big process, or a big influence, I think, in their process this year here in Indy. So happy for him. I hated to see him go, obviously, but I'm excited for him.
Chad Hall, his wide receiver, his coaching staff.
Are you his friend?
No.
No, it's funny because I coached Chad. I was an assistant coach under Coach Reed in Philly when Chad came through, and I just love his work ethic. The fact that he's played the game, tough kid, great teacher, great motivator, a lot of energy. Those are all things that you love to see out of that receiver room. He's coached some really good, Stephon Diggs. He's coached some great players, obviously. And so we're excited. I mean, he was when he became available, he was definitely the guy I wanted to get.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great.
So I wanted to know, we saw a lot of things click on offense this year. How are you preparing to take that to the next level this year?
Great question. There were a lot of things that clicked. It wasn't easy. Early in the season, we kind of struggled. We had some miscues in the red zone, and Trevor wasn't as polished as he was back half of the season. But that's one of the things as coaches, we got to take the good and we got to build on that. And so that's what we're doing now in the offseason as a staff, is looking at all our positive plays, the things we did well, whether it's run or pass, and then making them better for 23. And then again, we get to implement that stuff, in the offseason program coming up in mid-April, and then ultimately in training camp. So, so many times in so many years, there's a lot of one-hit plays, right? Plays you think are going to work. You push them aside and you just focus on who you are as a team. As watch Trevor's plays and see what he did well and build on that for this year.
Doug, when it comes to guys like Trayvon and Devin, what's really the emphasis to get them to take that second year lead, like a couple of different guys did last year?
I think the biggest thing for both of those players, Chad, Luke, you throw those guys in the mix, is the fact that they're finally going to have an off season to themselves, and they can rest, they can heal, and they can begin to go back and watch their performances right within the defense. I think all three of those guys, really four of those guys, put Luke in there too. They're going to be so much better this year from the standpoint of knowing and understanding the game, how it's to be played, how it's to be practiced during the week, how to be a pro, how to study, how to take care of your body. I think those are all aspects of becoming a professional football player. And so all of those guys, that's what they're going to take away, and that's what they can lean on, moving on to 23.
We've got Marvin Jones coming from free agency. Obviously, Calvin Ridley coming in. Obviously, Calvin Ridley coming in, Marvin Jones going on free agency. How important is it to have that kind of ball-winning wide receiver in your offense?
Well, when it comes to Calvin right now, he's not with us yet. We're still waiting the ruling. We're anticipating that, obviously, and if and when that comes, obviously we'll be excited. Marvin helped us win a lot of games this year. He was kind of Trevor's go-to guy in certain situations. And you saw him make the great catch in the Baltimore game, and for the touchdown there, and all really throughout the course of the season, very unselfish player, and we'll just have to see. Again, we'd love to get all our players back. And just seeing where it's gonna play out. Again, you can't sign them all. You want them all, but you can't. It's part of this business, and whatever happens, I know Marvin's going to be, whether he's with us or somebody else, he's going to give it 110% wherever he's at.
Back in Philly, you had a rotation of running backs, like 3 or 4. Are you looking to have like a similar rotation in Jacksonville? Because right now you only really have, you just re-signed Hasty, but Etienne. But are you looking to maybe add more running backs?
Yes. You knew that was coming. I think in today's game you got to have 2 to 3 guys. They got to be able to carry the load. You're talking about a 18-week, 17-game schedule in the postseason. It's wear and tear on guys, and so, we haven't seen enough of Snoop Connor yet either, but we like him, and we know what Jermichael can do. We obviously know what TJ Etienne can do, and so you're always looking to have 2, 3, 4 guys that can work the rotation at any given time, And I would say this: the last thing I would say is, I like him to play special teams as well, and so that's a big part of I think the impact of a running back is being able to play special teams. All right, thanks.